Welcome back to my channel. I'm here again with Caroline, Joy and Veronica, my fellow doctoral students. And today we are talking about when you come to Germany, what you need to do, registration, bank account and so on. So check the video, and in the end of this video you'll have all the information you need. What about all these bureaucracy things you have to do when you arrive, registration, contracts? What do you need to do?
Yeah. So when you arrive, the rule is, depends on where you're staying, whether it's a big city or a small city. If it's a big city, back home we have in Kenya we call them kwa kanjo, the city council offices. Yeah. You really don't have to go there as much. You only go there when you need to apply for a license or something. But in Germany, you'll go to that office so many times. Some people will even know your face, and so if you're going to like a big city, then you have to give yourself enough time and also know that there's a lot of people who are going there for various reasons. So you need time to put everything together and then be prepared to spend a long time on the queue. But if it's a small town, then it's a little bit easier, but then be prepared to speak German most of the time, because the smaller towns they don't really speak English, or even if they do, they will try and get you to speak more German. So it would be a good idea to do that. And you need to, once you arrive, within 2 weeks you have to go and register at the we call them Ausländerbehörde, which is the foreigners office.
Federal Foreign Office.
Yes, the foreign office. And so you put together your papers. Your visa should be, if you're coming, depending on the reason why you're coming to Germany. If it's as a student, you need to have your student visa ready, which you convert to a resident permit. And then if it's for work permits, you go directly to the Federal Employment Agency and you apply for this. So just depending on the reason why you're in Germany, just know that you deal with the bureaucratic offices a lot, and so this is a whole experience by itself. Yeah.
The beautiful thing about everything is that they have records and data.
Yes.
Because I lived in Germany when I was young, so when I went to register at the city hall, they were like, have you ever been in Germany? Yes, I lived here. Really? So they were able to pull up, yeah, you lived in this street, in this road, from this house. Like, I felt really touched, like, wow, actually they do remember that I was here. So it might be a long process, but I think it's a good way of keeping records of people and also data statistics. Yes. I think I wish we had such kind of systems in place back home, so it's really good.
And it really helps. Like, your address is very important, because when you register that address, that's where they will send you your social insurance card, your pension cards, all that stuff. So you really need to keep them informed of where you are, and it helps because a lot of the communication is by mail. So this is another thing, you have to keep checking your mailbox. And in Germany, ignorance is no defense. Ignorance of the law, you cannot hold, in any kind of argument, any excuse. They will not accept that. So you have to make sure that you take personal responsibility and initiative to know what you're supposed to do. Because it helps you to be to take self-responsibility. So it's a system that really encourages you to.
So don't get in trouble, because they know where to find you.
The beautiful thing about the city council officers, and by extension the police here in Germany, policemen are your friends. At least if you're on the side of the good side of the law, they are your friends. So if you're in trouble or you don't know what is the next step, there at the city council they can be able to tell you, now you've registered your residence, you must get your insurance, you must open your bank, and they can actually direct you to the closest. At least that was my experience. So the lady told me, you finished. I didn't even know the names of the banks because it was Sparkasse.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that was a bank. So she told me, so you need to open a bank account. So just cross the street and you can be able to open a bank account. Yes, and on many accounts, I didn't know exactly the street was. I'd go to a policeman and they would direct me. So more often than not, here in Germany, policemen are your friends.
But in Kenya, no?
Oh, girl, please.
Okay.
At least you don't have to bribe them or
Exactly.
give them some money
They're
to do
corrupt.
stuff
They're
for you.
Yes. No, but I mean, the first instinct when you see a policeman in Africa is, what did I do wrong, you know? Yeah.
And one thing I realized, like for me, when I came, I had my scholarship, and so I was very much sheltered. Like I didn't have to worry about a lot of things. And then after my scholarship was over and I had to start supporting myself, that's when I was more now thrown out or thrust into the real world, and that's when I had to really face, you know, the real life of you know, everyday life on the streets of Germany and everything. And so this was a very interesting experience, because I was like, wow, I've been living here for more than a year, and it's only now that I'm starting to realize. And that just tells you also, when you come as a student and maybe in the confines of a scholarship, it's also a good idea to, you know, to try and get out there as much as possible. I mean, of course, the scholarship is meant to help you to focus 100% on your studies, but it won't hurt to, you know, to do maybe something small on the side that allows you to interact with the everyday today life of Germany, and that way when someone explains some situations, it doesn't come as a surprise, you know, because because it's actually been happening. It's just that you are a little bit sheltered. Yeah. So.
But I still think the student community is already dynamic enough. I mean, especially if you live in a student center. For example, like I never had to wash clothes in a community. So for me to make sure that I have to schedule the time I have to go to the washing machine, I have to have the particular coins, particular money to be able to wash my clothes. And then you can make friends there, just so you know. Like on a Sunday afternoon when you have at least 3 or 4 people waiting to wash their clothes in a washing machine. So there, again, there's some form of interaction, there's a form of integration, so to speak, because you meet people from all over the world. So it's one advantage. The other disadvantage is you can go there, you find your clothes, they're clean, yes, but because somebody was not patient for you to come pick your clothes, they've already put them in a dirty place, a dirty surface and everything. So you have to time it, you know, and like this wash is running for 1 hour, so I have to be there exactly 1 hour to change maybe from the washing machine to the dryer and things like that. So there you can see already a few things, because people like keeping their time. You can see the German culture even within the student dynamics, yes. So that's it. Something interesting.
Yeah, time is money.
Exactly. Yeah. So one contract that we was about to mention earlier was about the insurance. So for example, I honestly don't remember ever needing an insurance in Kenya. Yes, I'm sure I'm insured somehow, but it wasn't a big deal as it is in Germany. So other than being registered, the next thing is for you to make sure you have your insurance. So everywhere you go, that's the first thing they ask you, be it a job that you're getting or anything, the first thing they ask is whether your insurance. So the public, the private, it's a lot of dynamics there between, so you have to be careful. I would give my example. When I came, we were laughing about it earlier, that you should read every contract word for word. So the person who asked me to sign my insurance contract, she just asked me, you have a Kenyan insurance, so you don't need a German one. So I said yes, and I signed. So 2 years, after, when you live in Germany for 2 years, I believe some people, it's almost compulsory to get a German insurance, whether it's private or public, because I was allowed to stay with my Kenyan insurance for 2 years.
You mean the health insurance?
Yes, health insurance, medical insurance. So, but after 2 years, you must get a German insurance. But apparently, I had signed that I will never need a German insurance.
Wow.
So it was really, so especially for the public insurance, and by then it would have been cheaper for me. So, but apparently immediately I came, and I think I was 1 week in Germany, and somebody just told me sign here, so I did not read that contract at all. So I just signed, but they showed the document to me 2 years down the line that you sign that you will never need a German insurance. And it got me into a lot of trouble. It got me into a lot of situations which, so I mean, my point being that try your best to read the contract as concisely as possible. If you need to take your time to read the contracts, read it, and then you can be able to make a wise decision. So take your time when you're signing the contracts.
But the contracts are in German.
They're German, of course.
How to say that?
So it would be a good idea to, you know, to ask for a little bit more time to go through it, and then you can even your professors at school or your colleagues or you know, they can help you, or just find someone who, you know, speaks good German. And even the Germans themselves will tell you that the contracts and the laws, there are so many would need to have like some insurance that covers legal things, where they can consult lawyers. And if you're in a university environment, there's a legal department which you can go and ask questions if you have any. But otherwise, you just make sure any questions you have that you ask and they're clarified before you put your signature on anything. Because your signature is literally, it's binding.
Yes.
And it binds you for as long as you're here. So,
By the way, just with the signing of contract and how binding they are, when you leave Germany, make sure 3 months prior you go and break the contract. Because you might be charged post leaving. There was someone who got a fee of 10,000 euros. Yeah.
Of what? Which
For
kind
not
of contract?
breaking,
For not breaking the contract with the bank.
To the bank?
The bank.
Oh god, yeah.
So like
so bank your cell phone.
phones,
contract,
mobile so make sure when you leave,
electricity, whatever.
those contracts are not anymore in place there.
One contract I genuinely don't appreciate, so pardon all the Germans, is the television and radio, because everybody in Germany has to pay for the television and the radio. I will never understand that. So,
But I think that's not a contract. I think you just have to pay. You don't sign
No,
it.
it's
not a contract.
it's not a contract, but whatever it is, I don't appreciate it.
It's just
Not
because
on
you
any
exist.
account, exactly. It's almost like telling me to pay for the roads that I'm walking on, you know. So, and that one, many students tend to ignore them, because at the end of the day, they think I don't have a television, I rarely listen to the radio and all, but the fees can really accumulate. So, €17.50 per month.
Yeah, usually the bill comes every 3 months.
Exactly.
You can decide how you want to make your payment.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So,
I didn't know that.
pay for your television
But
and radio.
that's money that you just pay. No one asks
Exactly.
you whether you want to pay for it. Yeah, everyone has a story when it comes to this.
Exactly.
Roomful de bois. That's what they call it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
Yeah, okay, but now we arrived in Germany, we are registered, we did all the contracts, we have a bank account. I don't know, is there a bank that you recommend or that you don't recommend?
I would say basically as an international student, you need to have options for, especially, I mean, you'll do a lot of transactions online because you're not at home physically, and also because there's a lot of things you have to do. But if you're within Germany or within Europe, normally your SEPA debit card, that one you'll get it with any local bank. For me, I bank with Deutsche Bank, and I get to have some free ATM services when I go back home, because they have partner banks like Barclays. Yeah, but there are other options, Postbank, there's Sparkasse, those ones are like more local banks that offer like some really some financial services. And as a student, most of the banks are free if you're under 30 years old.
I have 2 bank accounts, and they both call me at 8 o'clock on my 30th. You know, yes.
To say that you have to
So
pay.
you have to come. We need to talk to you concerning your bank account and things like that from now on. So,
Because I'm over 30 now, I have a bank account that is online banking. And I know mine is Comdirect, belongs to the Commerzbank, but Indiba would also do that. And you don't have to pay this fee.
Okay.
And for my bank, Sparkasse, obviously, as Veronica said, like you need to ask, can I use these services when I'm back home? Because obviously we'll be traveling home for studies, data collection, and so forth. But also my bank had insurance services, like I could insure everything in my home for I think 17 euros or so. So if there's a burn case, if there's something that gets burned, or there's a major destruction within the house, or if I knock somebody's bicycle accidentally, or if my kid knocks down somebody's things accidentally, the bank covers it. So okay, it might be an extra thing, but if you have a family, you want to have that cover on your head, that in case something happens, someone will pay. In case I break some, or my daughter breaks some things that doesn't belong to us, the bank can pay for that. So you should ask your bank what other services do they offer. It might be, as a student, it might be of a really good price also.
This is actually very important point she raises. It's called the liability insurance. Most Germans have it. And basically it's to protect you from some unexpected events where you have to pay a lot of money to compensate, like if you break anything, if you damage anything. And there are various options out there for liability insurance. Of course, banks offer it. Also the medical insurance companies, they offer it. You pay a little bit extra on top, but normally it's not much. In fact, but you have to be careful what your liability insurance covers. You need to know, because for example, if you lose your keys for the apartment and you need to replace them, and it's normally very expensive to replace keys in Germany, by the way.
Where's my key?
It's very to lose keys, to lock your key in the house or something, because most doors have this special kind of locks. To get it opened, it's very, very expensive, and the person who comes will take only 5 seconds to open it. But because of that
5 seconds
process of getting them to move from wherever they were to come, that 5 seconds will cost you 100 euros minimum.
Exactly.
So it's a very important thing to know. But yes, liability insurance is a good thing to have in Germany, especially if you're a student or you don't earn much. Many people who come on scholarship, for example, they imagine they get a lot of money, because that time you're thinking with your Kenyan brain that I'm going to get 1,000 euros. That's like more than 100,000 Kenya shillings per month, but it's not much money. Sorry to say.
Once you pay rent and insurance,
the first days you're thinking, I'm going to save this much money and then I'm able to do this and that, but it's not much money. In fact, it's actually just the minimum
expenses.
The bare minimum you need to
most
survive.
Most of it goes to rent.
Thank you.
And most of
insurance
and rent and insurance and your living costs. So it's not much. So you need to have some financial prudence to plan yourself. Otherwise you can find yourself in a lot of trouble, because the bills are really, there's a lot you need to pay for. When the money comes in and you look at your bank statement and it's always red. So it helps you to financial prudence is a very, very important aspect of living in the diaspora, and especially in Europe, where a lot of everything is not all inclusive. You have to pay for all these bills separately. Unlike in Kenya, you have your bill which is wholesome, or if you have to pay for water and electricity, it's like very, very little.
One way to save money when you're here, cook. You can't afford to eat out every day as much as it sounds fun. They're nice places to eat out, but they can be very expensive. But if you cook, there are affordable supermarkets like Aldi, Lidl, Penny, where you can buy fresh organic stuff sometimes at a very affordable price. So when you cook, you can save much more money rather than going out.
Yeah, so I think now we finish our financial, banking and savings part. Thank you for watching. I hope this video helped you, and thank you all three to be here. It was a pleasure. Give a thumbs up if you like this video, and subscribe to my channel if you're new. Bye!